Hello everyone, I would like to share with you quite an easy Christmas card to make using some products from the online exclusive. So I'm not sure if you've had a chance to take a look at the last lot that released. There is a bundle of products that's called Season of Green and Gold. So I am using some of the products from that bundle. So I have got, this is the card I'm going to show you how to make, but let me just move that to the side and show you the stamp set. So this is Greetings of the Season stamp set, which is a really nice one to use. Very serviceable, and the font is really nice. And they also have, which is really fantastic, let me just move that aside. Let me move the card aside, move this over so you can see the whole lot. It can be purchased in a bundle. I do have a link for all of the products in the description for this post. So you can see you get your stamp set with all of those sentiments in it. Plus you get a whole lot of different tags, and they do come with the little hole in them so you can make them a tag, or you can use them as I've done with just a really nice tag on the front of your card. So these bigger ones are going to be perfect for actually making gift tags. So this is where I've got the sentiment and the tag from, is this set here. I have used Garden Green ink, which is this one just here. So as in products, you do need a few products, but anyone who has been doing some card making for a little while will have all of the basic stuff. The other thing that I am using is another die set, which is from the Season of Green and Gold. And this one is called Golden Greenery Dies. So let me grab these ones out and share with you these ones. So these, oops, I'll just move down just a little bit. So there are two pages that do coordinate with a stamp set, and also some of the vellum that we have. I'm about to show you that vellum. So you can cut out stamped images, you can cut out images on the vellum with this, as well as you've got your leaves and your different sprigs as well. So let me share with you the vellum that goes with these, that matches these dies. I'm going to end up with quite a few products sitting here, but it's worth having a look. So the vellum is called Graceful Greenery Vellum. Okay, as you may know, vellum is a little bit see-through or opaque finish to it. So the white just looks like white, but there is, I don't know if you're going to, there we go. I think you can pick up that it's got that little bit of a pattern on it. It's just like a worn sort of pattern in the background. You also get a couple of sheets in the packet, 12 by 12s, of the different sprigs. And as I mentioned, let me just grab one of these from the die set. You can cut out your vellum images using the dies. Oh, that's one of the things that I really love about Stampin' Up! And their product coordination. You get the die set, you get your paper. You can cut out all of those leaves and sprigs really quite quickly. Okay, and the final sheet of the vellum, I actually have used 2 lots of vellum on this. I've used the one that has just that white, plain white pattern, and I also have used some of these ones because these can be cut out as well. And there's 2 different images, of course, there. So let me share with you both of those. So very, very simple. The other thing too is if you don't have a die cutting machine or you don't have the dies, but you really love this vellum and the look that you can achieve with it, with your card making, you can just cut these out with a pair of scissors. So it's nice and versatile in that sense. Let me pop the paper aside and show you the other couple of products I'm using for this card. Let me just pop that up there. Okay, I've also using from the annual catalogue, the So Swirly embossing folder. This one is A5 size, so if you're doing bigger pieces, you can use much bigger pieces for your scrapbooking and memory keeping, or you can do 2 card fronts in one hit in this, or the entire front of a larger card as well. So that is the annual catalogue. As I mentioned in the description, I'm going to include a link for all of the products used to make this card. The embossing folder. I have also got here some embellishments which are called Iridescent Foil Gems. These are from the annual catalogue. Let me slide those out. So these are really pretty as well. They just have that little bit of shimmer and shine to them. I'll put those there so I don't lose them. And finally, one of the other products that is a part of the Season of Green and Gold is the Natural Tones Linen Thread. So a little bit different to the Baker's Twine being linen thread, but there is Garden Green. There's also, I think it's Copper Clay and Night of Navy. So sorry, hold those down a little lower. Those are really lovely to use, and they're just that slight different texture to them than the Baker's Twine. So I'm going to be using that as well. I'm going to pop that just there so I don't lose that either. So moving on to the card. I have my half sheet of white A4 thick white cardstock, which I have scored ahead of time. I have 2 pieces of Garden Green, which measure 10 centimeters by 14.4. I've got my 2 pieces of white cardstock, which measure 9.5 by 13.9. And I have ahead of time embossed with the So Swirly embossing folder, just so I don't have to bring the big machine over, but I will be doing some die cutting using the little machine. I've got pre-cut my tag. I have got, let me just grab this piece of green cardstock and I'll show you this vellum. I have done a die cut using this die here from the set that I showed you just before. This is how it looks when it's cut out of that white vellum. So you can see it's got a little bit of a sort of a mottled sort of look to it. So I've got that pre-cut just to save a little bit of time. I also have pre-cut as well 2 of my 3 leaves. I have got, pardon me, I have got one more, which I'm going to show you very quickly how to do that using the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so let's get started. I might do that little bit of die cutting first, just so then that is done and out of the way. So I do need the die. So I do have my little machine here, and I think I'm going to raise my phone stand just a little bit. There we go. And of course I've got, for die cutting, let me just grab it here, I've got plate number 1, and I've also got 2 number 2s. Now, of course, my tip as always, when you are using these, you want to stagger your plates. So I've got about 1 centimetre or so down from the top of plate 1 is the top of plate 2. So I'm going to sit that on the platform. As I mentioned, I do have my piece of vellum, and I've got my die as well. So, and I have got a Post-it note just to hold my die in place. So very simply lining that up over the top. The sticky note just to hold the die in place so it doesn't move too much. That way then a little bit more chance of it actually cutting out straight. And my second plate on the number 2 plate on the top. I am going to push that until the handle catches, and then you can put, oh, keep winding that through. So nice and easy. Let me just grab that out and I'll just pop the machine aside. Get rid of the plates and gently peel up the Post-it note. And then you have your leaves cut out. Now I'm just going to lower my phone down just a little bit more. So sorry about the little bit of movement there. Okay, let's put this card together. Once you've got your different elements put together with this card, it's actually really fairly quick to make. Oh, I don't think I've quite got my camera back in the right spot, but I think that's okay. All right, so let me move some of these things aside. I do have my bone folder. So, of course, starting by folding your card in half. And use your bone folder there. Okay, so I am going to move on with the card front. My piece of garden green, this one is 10 centimeters by 14.4. I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal. Now, of course, my tips as always with Stampin' Seal, use a very light hand because it doesn't need too much pressure. And of course, that little tick just at the end to break the stream of adhesive. Now, if you don't do that little tick, it's not the end of the world. All it means is your adhesive strip might kind of stretch out a little bit like chewing gum. But that's fine. It doesn't do any damage. The next thing I'm putting on is my piece of white cardstock that I have embossed with the So Swirly embossing folder ahead of time. And there's no right or wrong side with your embossing folder or the cardstock that's just been embossed. Choose the one you like the best. And I'm going to use some dimensionals for this. And I've got some minis here. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on. Just take a moment or two. And one more. And then to get the backs off these very quickly and very easily, I'm going to stab into the little backing papers with the Take Your Pick tool, which I've got the piercing end. And you can flick those little papers up really nice and quickly. And then this is going on my card front. Now, one thing I find really easy with your card making, build up your card from the bottom. So you start with your base, then you put your first layer on, or depending how many layers you're using, and then build up from the bottom. Now, we do need to do just a little bit of stamping for this next bit, which I'm using the tag for and the garden green ink. So I do need to get two stamps out. So I've got the Merry Christmas. Let me just move a couple of these things aside. And as I mentioned, I am using the Greetings of the Season stamp set. So I need the Christmas out of there. And let me grab a block. There we go, I'll use this one. Actually, no. So I've got the Christmas, and I've also got Merry as well. So with these ones, the words do come separate, which makes it really quite versatile. So you can make up any sentiments that you would like to have. So you could have it as Happy Holidays, Season's Greetings. You've got lots of choice. Now, for memory, when I did this card originally, it was actually a bit easier for me to stamp the Christmas first. So I'm going to stamp that roughly center along the bottom, which is just so pretty, that font. And then I'm going to stamp the Merry just above it and off to one side. And being photopolymer, the stamp set, it does make it really very easy when you are lining up your sentiments. Okay, let me pop the ink pad away. Next, I am going to be putting this on my card front, and then my pieces of cut out vellum, I'm going to slide underneath and just attach those with a glue dot. So with my dimensionals, I'm going to just put a couple in the middle. I don't want to put them all the way around the edge because I want to be able to easily slide in my leaves. So I'll just probably put 4 roughly in the middle. And again, it is flicking those little covers off using the Take Your Pick tool. And with my position for this, this card, it is roughly center, but just a little lower, if that makes sense to you. So around about there. Okay, to finish off, as I mentioned, I'm going to use some glue dots, and all I'm going to do is probably trim up these just a touch. So all I'm going to do with this one is just trim off that little bit of stem at the bottom, and then that fits a lot better just there. So I'm going to use just a glue dot or two down the bottom. One of the things with vellum is that when it's a little bit see-through, so sometimes you can see your adhesives. So this one I'm putting a glue dot just down the bottom. Hopefully you can see that it's just there, and I'm going to be sliding that underneath the tag. And I'm not going to worry about too much more adhesive wise underneath the leaves, because I've got the other leaves to stick over the top. And this having a little bit of colour, you won't notice the glue dots quite as much underneath this vellum. So the next one is going to slide in around about there. I might do the same. I'm going to trim a little bit of the stem off just so I can poke it in a little bit further. And I am again going to use a couple of glue dots on this one. One down the bottom. And we'll do one about there. And you will notice with this vellum having the green colours to it, you actually don't notice the glue dots underneath, which is really nice. So this one is going to go in around about there. And I do have my second one. Again, I'm going to trim off the bottom of the stem and decide which side is the right side. Okay, so I found the right side, which is the darker one, and this one is going to slide in around about there. So these sorts of cards are quite forgiving where you position these leaf elements. Simply, it's just the nature of where they land, it's going to work. Put a couple of glue dots on that one, and this one here is going to be sliding in around about there. And finally, my last leaf is going to be going in around about there. So again, a couple of glue dots is all it's going to take to hold this one in place. My glue dot box keeps falling over. Okay, so a couple of there. I think I'm going to trim that little bit of, oops, I was out of the camera then. There we go. There is that. We're almost done. So as I mentioned, I am using the Garden Green linen thread, which comes from the Natural Tones linen thread. And I'm going to need about 25 centimeters. So with this thread, to get the curls out of it, just run it through your thumbnail and your index finger, and it straightens out. So I'm going to measure around about 25 centimeters, which on my glass mat, it does have a ruler across the top and the bottom and up the side. So it does have metric and imperial. So whichever one you work in or feel most comfortable working in, you've got your rulers there. Okay, so there is my little bow. And again, using a glue dot, I'm going to stick that on, and it's going to sit just over the little hole where you would normally put your thread if you're using it as a tag. Okay, so we've got, there we go. Almost done. The final thing I need to do is just put on my few embellishments. And for that, I am using, with the Take Your Pick tool, the putty end. Let's see how this goes. I think it might be actually just a little bit dry. When your putty dries out and loses its tack, just give the tip of your putty a little twist, and then you get fresh putty coming out. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to get one of the bigger ones because it does stick really quite beautifully to your embellishments when you use the putty tip. Okay, almost done. We just need to finish off the inside. Just pop that one off to the side. So for the inside, I do have my second piece of Garden Green cardstock and also my second piece of white. So again, using Stamp and Seal. for both of these, because these just need to be being on the inside. You don't want to have dimensionals because they're just going to get flattened out. And finally, we are almost done. And inside the card front, or the card base. There it is. A really nice, simple Christmas card using the Graceful Greenery Vellum and Greetings of the Season stamp set. As I mentioned, I will include the link for all the products that have been used to create this card, because it's really a beautiful card and you could make a whole bunch of those in a really short period of time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video.